All right, world. It is the day after. Going to go ahead and get this over with. If you watch this on the Facebook side, you know what's about to happen. First and foremost, I'm going to give credit to the New England Patriots for getting the win yesterday against my Denver Broncos at Empire Field, Mile High AFC Championship game. Big ups to the New England Patriots for winning the AFC. Good luck to y'all in the Super Bowl. Same goes for the Seahawks. Good luck to y'all in the Super Bowl as well from the NFC side. I don't really care who wins this game. I'm not being salty or anything, but if it's not teams I really hate, then I'm not going to be really invested as far as like rooting purposes. So now, part of me is like, well, the Patriots don't need to win any more Super Bowls. They already got 6, and they're possibly about 2 weeks away from getting number 7, which will give them the most Super Bowl titles in the NFL. And another part of me is like, I can't really root for the Seahawks either, you know. It's like, okay, and, you know, you made it to the Super Bowl, good for you. And 5% of me is not over 43-8. 95% of me is because, hey, that was about 12 years ago, you know. Can't have that game back. But 5% of me is like, I really wanted to get back to the Super Bowl and the Broncos got the chance to play the Seahawks. I want revenge. So. But unfortunately, not getting that, at least not in the postseason. So that's that. Patriots, we'll see y'all again next season up in y'all place. Hopefully, Bo Nix will be starting. Cause I know some Patriot fans will probably be like, they much rather have beaten Bo Nix than Jarrett Stidham. But it is what it is. All right, let's talk about this game right quick. Not going to talk our head off, but we know we need to talk about it. First and foremost, salute to the defense. The defense played amazing yesterday. Now, I know some people going to talk about, oh, it's the snow or whatnot. I don't think that even if it did, like, even before the snow really took effect, the defense really balled their ass off. They got the Drake man a couple of times. Their running game was not effective for pretty much. A couple of 3 and outs. We got to see a punt or 2 or 3 or 4 from the Patriots. So nonetheless, not too shabby for my defense. The only difference is I wish I could have seen a turnover or 2. The Broncos lost a turnover battle badly. I think it's like 3 turnovers, maybe 2. I feel like it was 3 of them by my offense. And just like last week when I talked about the Bills with their turnovers, you can't win ball game if your offense is turning the ball over. Especially that one turnover that Jarrett Stidham lateral backwards and I feel like that alone lost the Broncos the game. That lateral pass, which the Patriots have covered, and eventually morphed that to a Drake May rushing touchdown. I think that made a difference. I know some people going to talk about the field goals or whatnot. Honest to God, and I get it, kickers are professional athletes, just like the quarterback, just like the running back, just like the defensive lineman. They're athletes too. They get paid to make these field goals. I'm not gonna crucify Will Lutz for missing both of his field goals because I felt because those field goals in the second half, they was late in the game. Could he adjusted better? Yes, but I don't think it would have made much of a difference, regardless if he adjusted right or not. So, but yeah, but at the end of the day, there was 6 points that the Broncos could have used to win that game. So you had that going on. And then you had, the fact that the Broncos just could not run the ball at all. That was very alarming, the fact that, we just could not get any rhythm going on the ground. It got to a point where Jarrett Stidham, right on the second drive, Jarrett Stidham had to air it out immediately because, we weren't getting anywhere with the running game. In fact, the Broncos went 3 and out on their first drive. So, yeah, that happening. And I think that second drive was when the Broncos did score a touchdown. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I think we're gonna be all right. Get the running game open up a little bit. The defense continue to play good. I think we're gonna be okay. And the Broncos had momentum through most of the first half. They dominated the first quarter, and they pretty much had their way with the Patriots in the second quarter until this controversial situation. And this is where I think a lot of Bronco fans are probably feeling like this is where the game was lost. You had that 4th and 1. You had a good drive going on in the second quarter, and you stalled. It was 4th and 1. A lot of Bronco fans felt that they should have took the field. That Sean Payton should have took the field goal. But seeing that the wind was playing a huge factor, part of me kind of seen why he didn't do that, because you don't want to risk the field goal. You don't want to take a field goal and he misses it, and then it may come back and bite you in the ass. Because let's just be realistic. Had they took the field goal and he muffed it, not muffed it, and he missed it, then the controversy would have been like, oh, the conditions was bad. You should have just went for it on 4th down and try to get the touchdown. Which I'll probably be like, I wonder who thought of that. Now Sean Payton did go for it on 4th down. I just felt like the play call was just poorly executed, and that's not what I would have done either myself. But this is a drawback I have with Sean Payton. He when it comes to play calling, I question some of his play calling. I've been saying that a good bulk of the season. It frustrates me a lot, and not a lot, but it frustrates me when I'm seeing certain calls and and seeing how they play out. I'm like, what? That should not happen. I felt like what should have been done is Sean Payton ran the ball on that 4th and 1. Give it to Adam Prentice. Okay, R.J. Harvey and Jaleel McLaughlin, they're not running the ball effectively. Give it to Adam Prentice. Let him get the 1 yard, because that's a chance that drive could have ended in a touchdown, and that could have made a difference in the Broncos winning or losing. So instead of taking the field goal and being up 10-0, you keep the drive going. There's a strong possibility that the Broncos would have went on to score a touchdown. They're up 14-0 right before halftime, and somebody just said that Jarrett Stidham was probably better off taking the sack when he did. And this, I think once that play happened on that 4th and 1, I felt like the Broncos immediately started to lose momentum, and they were just kind of got desperate and just kind of got off their game. You went from seeing Jarrett Stidham actually not looking too shabby to Jarrett Stidham holding on to the ball too long. I kept seeing that on a few occasions, and it wound up costing them. And if that's the case, if you're afraid of what's the word I'm looking for? If you're afraid of intentional grounding, and if you're afraid of intentional grounding, and you don't have a receiver open, hell, if your running back's not open, just take the sack, man. It would have been 4th down. You had to punt the ball, and guess what? You go for that 4th and 1, likely get a touchdown, and then you take the sack, punt the ball on 4th down. The Patriots are not going to have time to go down the field before halftime. So instead of the score being 7-7, you up 2 touchdowns. It's 14-0. And the way that the game panned out, I felt the way that the game panned out, I felt like the Broncos will still have momentum going in the second half to where they could put themselves in position to put the game away. So it just lost opportunities, that's what's really cost the Broncos at the end. You had opportunities, you didn't seize on them, and then when it was time to think smart, you don't, and you just lose momentum, and the Patriots took over, and that was that. And Drake May got so desperate in the 4th quarter, he started tucking in and running. And then once that happens, the defense couldn't do anything to stop it. I'm not going to pin this on the defense, But they did have that minor flaw. And it wound up getting the field goal range. They got the field goal. The kicker did miss one though, so it wasn't. So it wasn't all well left. It was just bad conditions for field goal kicking altogether. But like I said, the Broncos really didn't need to take the field goal right there. They just should have executed the play better. Now, had they still ran the ball up the middle and didn't get the yard, then okay. I wouldn't have been mad about the play. I wouldn't have been like, oh, you should have just took the points. I'd be like, okay, at least you tried to play it. At least you tried to be smart about it, and the play just didn't go your way. Now, I also do get where Bronco fans are coming from. They say take the points, because there is no tomorrow. I'm not going to argue with those Bronco fans about taking the points. But what my logic, what I was going with, you could have opened up the opportunity to get even more points than just selling for the field goal. But poorly executed play, and that was that. So, yeah, I don't, like I said, I'm not mad that Bronco fans wanted to take the field goal, said take the field goal because, okay, let's just say he did make the field goal. Because, we got to look at it from both aspects. We looked at it as, okay, they took the field goal, they missed it. We still been in the same position. Okay, you take the field goal, and he makes it. So now late in the game, it's 10-10, and everything still pan out. We're looking at a situation where we could possibly see an overtime. But if the defense wasn't able to stop Drake May from tucking in and running, who's to say that the Patriots would have stuck to that script after the 2-minute warning and try to find a way to get in the red zone and wind up kicking the game with a field goal in the closing seconds. So, I'm thinking about that too. But I feel like it probably would have been a chance the defense stiffens up and try to keep him in the pocket. It probably would have sent the game to overtime, which I don't know how it would have went in overtime, but eventually, maybe the Broncos would have had a good chance. Who knows? But it is what it is at this point. I wish a couple of things would have went different. Like I said, that 4th and 1, I feel like that should have been a better play. I felt like, okay, you're talking about Jerry Stidham holding on to the ball too long on that 3rd down. I wish he could have took the sack and lived another day. Because, you don't want to get sacked. Don't get me wrong, but I'd rather have gotten sacked and lived another day and pin the Patriots deep on the punt, put them in their own territory, than try to play hero ball and wind up coughing up the ball and putting the Patriots in our red zone to where that touchdown would have happened. So, just certain things that just went wrong, It wasn't a lot that went wrong, but it was definitely some things that really stuck out. That you look at it, but like, had that been different, maybe the outcome would have been different. But I'm not going to get up here and make excuses, I'm not going to get up here and be like, oh, the Broncos lost because no, it doesn't matter that it was snowing. The Patriots had to play in the snow too. I'm not going to be like, well, no, it doesn't matter. I feel like things should have been executed better, which which brings it to this point in the offseason. I think Sean Payton needs to get an offensive coordinator. And I think another thing that needs to be addressed is the receiving corps, because I did see one too many drop passes. So that was very frustrating to see, because some of those drop passes by the receiving corps, some by Sutton, some by Pat Bryant, whatever, those were drive killers. You had in certain situations, you catch the ball, you get a first down, you keep the drive going. And you got, and like I said, and you have to, you just cannot be dropping the ball at critical moments. But that was another thing that really frustrated me. Like, the offense was not there. You had to drop balls, the inability to run the ball. And I know some people gonna be like, well, Bo Nix played, maybe the Broncos would have won this game, and maybe, who knows? But I guess we'll never know, because like, Bo Nix did not play the game, so only thing we do is just wonder what if. I don't like to wonder what if, but in this case, if you're a Broncos fan, you're likely wondering what if Bo Nix played. What if we had Troy Franklin? What if we had who got hurt early in the game? Was it Marvin Mims? No, it wasn't Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims did get hurt, but I feel like feel like somebody else got hurt, and I think they didn't play. But there's just certain things you ponder, you know, as you probably watch the game, cipher it, try to see what happened, you know, and wonder why the Broncos lost this game. So I pinned it on that, you know, just kind of like just the Jared Stidham fumble, the 4th and 1 by Sean Payton, what he should have done different, and the missed field goals. Like I said, you know, the wind might have played a factor, but those field goals could have been huge. Like if Will Lutz was able to battle through that wind and make those field goals, instead of the score being 10-7, you're looking at the score being 13-10, and I severely like my chances late in the game, because then you come down to this situation late in the fourth quarter to where all you got to do is possibly get like a first down or two. If Jerry Stidham has to run the ball, fine, so be it. You get a first down or two late in the game, you got a 2-minute warning on your backside, you force the Patriots to burn their timeouts. You get the 2 first downs, the game is over, you win 13-10, you go to the Super Bowl. And I hate to say it, but once Jared Stidham, I don't blame him for the way he did, you know, late in the game. You know, the running game wasn't going. You had to get down the field, at least try to get an easy field goal and push the game to overtime, assuming that you don't score the touchdown. So he tried to push the ball down the field. Unfortunately, it was thrown short and was picked off by Christian Gonzalez, and that was, once that happened, I knew the game was over. So, because like the Broncos only had one timeout, and the 2-minute warning on their back, and the 2-minute warning on their side. But I had a feeling the Patriots were going to get the first down and end the game. So that was that. But yeah, 2025 Denver Broncos season is over. Now I'm going to quickly say this and be done with it. I know some Bronco fans are probably, there's been some back and forth on this morning and last night and this morning. You know, you have some Bronco fans saying like, oh, yeah, a couple of Bronco fans in these Bronco Facebook groups saying that the season was a failure, and they get slaughtered by an abundance of Bronco fans saying, no, it's not a failure. It was a great season. I'm gonna say it from, this is my point of view, and I don't care what any Bronco fan thinks. I'm gonna speak how I feel and feel how I speak. If you disagree, that's on you. This was not a great season. I know, and this is why I say that. Go back to America's Game back in 2006, you know, when they talk about every Super Bowl champion. 98 Broncos. Shannon Sharpe, he was one of the guys who talked about the 98 Broncos. And I got to spit. All right, now I'm back for spitting. But as I was saying, Shannon Sharpe, he said this, and this resonates with me. If it's a Super Bowl and your team, and I'm paraphrasing by the way, if this is a Super Bowl and your team's not hoisting that Lombardi and that confetti is not falling on your head, your season is a failure. And you'd be crazy to look at it any other way. Now, this is where I'm going to kind of temper the waters with this one when I say this. The season was a failure goal-wise. The goal is to win the Super Bowl. So what, like this whole 67, 68 sacks and all that, having a top 2 defense, Bo Nix 4-quarter heroics, that don't mean shit to me now. Because the goal is to win the Super Bowl. And if you don't win the Super Bowl, then it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. It doesn't matter what you do in the postseason beforehand. Because we gonna look back 25 years from now, and you can talk about all the accolades that the Broncos had, but somebody's gonna come along and ask, did the Broncos win the Super Bowl that year? No, they didn't. Then who cares? Who cares what they did? Who cares about the accolades? I'm sure some Bronco players might get some awards and kudos. Some of them may deserve it. But nobody's going to remember that 25 years from now that Pat Surtain or, Probably won Defensive Player of the Year this year if he's in the mix, or Garrett Bowles won, Walter Payton Manning. They're not gonna care about that. All people care about is wins and losses. Did you win the Super Bowl or not? So on the goal aspect, no, we did. The Broncos did not reach their goal. So no, the season was not a success. This type of season will only be a success for the Detroit Lions, the Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars, Cleveland Browns, teams that have never went to a Super Bowl. When you've been to the mountaintop and conquer, then anything below that is a failure. So no, I'm not happy with the way I wouldn't say I'm not happy. I'm gonna phrase that. So no, my goal was not met this year. It is what it is. Now, goals versus expectations. Now, I did not expect my goal to be met. My expectation for the Denver Broncos this year was to build off last year. Now, got more wins in the regular season this year. Managed to get the 1 seed, won the AFC West, won a playoff game. So, and I was hoping like at least get to the divisional round, make the next step. So I wasn't 100% certain that the Broncos were going to win the division, because I didn't expect the Chiefs to fall off as bad as they did. But so my expectations was to at least get in the playoffs, and win a playoff game. They did that, and not only did they do that, they won, like I said, won a division, got to the AFC Championship game. So on that aspect, the Broncos, this rendition of the Denver Broncos exceeded. Not only did they meet my expectations, they exceeded it. So on the strength of that alone, I'm not disappointed. I'm not upset. I'm not angry that I don't really get angry or pissed off after a loss anymore, but I don't feel any type of way that the Broncos lost this game. I don't. And I do feel like this is, this will be a learning step towards next season. Hopefully next season, everything will go better and we can actually get to the Super Bowl next year and actually win it. And also, I did say that the Broncos better go to the Super Bowl. So on the strength of that alone, that's another reason why the Broncos did not meet my goal and this season was a failure. Because I feel like if you have the 1 seed, you better go to the Super Bowl, no matter who you are. If you're the 1 seed, you don't make it to the Super Bowl, then what's there to talk about? But nonetheless, yeah. We're going to see what happens this offseason. I know I'm going to expect some changes. I know one thing that I need to see some movement is that receiving core. Tight end, whatever. I need to see some changes there, because we cannot have another season where we have a shit ton of drop balls. I'll probably look at that secondary too. Riley Moss, like I said, you kind of Jekyll and Hyde, so you could be looked at too on this offseason as well, because those penalties, man. And it wasn't really that many penalties yesterday, but throughout the season, my God, so they're gonna be reevaluating him as well. So, but yeah, that's gonna do it. I really have nothing else left to say. I know some Bronco fans probably gonna feel somewhat indifferent with what I say, and that's fine. Everybody's welcome to their own opinion. Only thing I'm just gonna say is just keep it cordial. Just, if disagreements, I'm open to that, but just don't come in here with the whole "you're delusional." The Broncos season was a success. No, I said how I felt. It was not a success. I'm not a Detroit Lions fan. I'm not a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I'm used to getting past the AFC title game and getting to the Super Bowl and winning. There's nothing to be rah-rahing about. Oh, we made it to. If you really feel like this season was a success, then that tells me that you're just content with just getting to the AFC Championship game and losing. It's all good. You're happy about losing in the AFC title game. It's that's what you want? Or do you want to go win the Super Bowl? And before anybody say this, I don't want to hear shit about, oh, stop being negative. Thankfully, I didn't really hear that this season, but I don't want anything about stop being negative. No, stop selling for less, stop selling for the bare minimum, and aim higher. You can't tell me with a straight face that you're happy with losing an AFC title game. You can tell me with a straight face that, you can tell me with a straight face that, hey, they exceeded your expectations by even getting here. But your end game, your end goal cannot be getting to the AFC title game just to lose. You can't. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna be doing for Broncos content here for a while. I'll probably do some. I'll probably pop back up in April. Is it April? Yeah. Towards the end of April. About the draft, for the draft. And then after that, I probably won't pop back on talking Broncos football until we get close to the regular season. I don't do this whole offseason stuff. I don't care about these offseason moves. I'm not an offseason person. Fuck the offseason. That's what pussy ass niggas, man. Only pussy ass niggas and hoe ass bitches love the offseason. Real niggas do regular season, the playoffs and championships. But that's neither here nor there. But I will be watching the Super Bowl, obviously. I'm not one of those who get salty and be like, fuck the Super Bowl because my team not in it. No, just then go be an off-season ass nigga, man. Real niggas gonna watch that Super Bowl regardless of their team in it or not, because they're NFL fans at the end of the day too, not just fans of their own team. Hell, my Florida Gators didn't even make it to a bowl game. But you don't hear me saying, oh, that didn't stop me from watching some of the bowl games. That didn't stop me from watching the college football playoff, because I was curious to see who was gonna win it all. And with the Super Bowl, I'm curious to see who's gonna win it all. Yeah. So I'll watch the Super Bowl. I might make a video after the Super Bowl. We'll see. But until then, it is college basketball season. My Tar Heels, they made me proud Saturday. They came back from down 16 and knock off UVA at their place. They moved up to number 16 in the AP poll today. So that was good to see. They don't play again till Saturday. They're going to play at Georgia Tech at 2 o'clock. Tampa Bay Lightning have been on the roll lately as far as NHL. Unfortunately, they did got 8 points. 8 points. They did get 8 goals scored on them against the Blue Jackets on Saturday. So that was double-edged sword. I got to see Carolina come back and win. But yeah, the Tampa Bay Lightning gave up 8 goals and lose. So. And then in about less than 3 weeks, it'll be NASCAR season. We'll be, watching that Daytona 500. I might get up here and talk a little bit about that after the race is over. But other than that, that's all I really got. So y'all be easy. Y'all enjoy the Super Bowl, and I'll see y'all. I think the next video I may make will probably be next week. Talk after the Carolina Georgia Tech game. I'll probably talk about that, and then we'll see what happens after that. So yeah, y'all have a good night. I'm out.